Andrew Lookingbill. The state of the art today in terms of being able to derive meaningful observations from imagery is pretty close to science fiction. It's pretty astounding. And yet, I would say until today, the ability to participate in this collection of imagery was pretty exclusive, largely confined to only the most financially stable and robust companies in the world. But that's really not in Google's DNA. We want to make this information more universally useful and accessible. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that everyone has access to the cameras that can collect this imagery. Now, in a moment, we're going to hear from 3 companies, plus our own internal Google team, that are advancing that state of the art to make this prosumer and consumer hardware more accurate, higher resolution, capable of greater capacity, processing power, and workflow robustness. But first, we've got a little treat. We've got a 1 or 2 minute video that highlights some of the new things that are happening in the Street View Ready space. So let's take a look. Pretty cool. Thanks. So that website is live, and when we're not presenting today, please feel free to take a look, g.co/streetviewpublishing. So yes, we're up to the Street View Ready cameras. One thing that I want to point out before we hear from these manufacturers is that as the quality not only of the imagery but also of the pose is improved, we've been able to have greater confidence as to where these observations in the world are. Historically, in dense urban spaces, within Google, we refer to these stretches of roadway that we call urban canyons. And what that means is essentially there are enough occlusions that we don't get a clear line of sight between GPS and the satellites in space. And that's really troublesome for us because not only do we actually lose the line of sight, but we'll have refractions from the buildings, and it causes all kinds of mayhem. It really undermines our ability to have confidence where the car was. On top of that, you have these dense, sometimes intermingling of roads and pedestrian spaces. And again, it's really hard to know exactly where a street sign or a street address was if you don't have confidence in where the camera went. But that's changing pretty rapidly. And as you're going to see here in just the next few minutes, even prosumer and consumer cameras are now capable of a high degree of confidence. This is just about the most difficult space you can imagine in terms of urban canyons. This is downtown San Francisco. And this is one of the cameras that's being debuted today, driving through this space. This is unadulterated, so there's no vision improvement here. This is just sensors from the camera, providing a very clear path. And these are observations run through the same machine learning infrastructure that Andrew just referenced, but applied to imagery from a prosumer camera. We're able to identify speed limits. We're able to identify street signs. We're able to identify business storefronts and read them. And while these capabilities are not being debuted today, and we won't be providing a date for them, we are working to make sure that the cameras that are announced today will feed into the same infrastructure. And I think this is really important. It harkens back to the question that we heard about 20 minutes ago, which is, how are you going to make it easy for us to continue to help you author the map? And one of the answers to that, in concert with other UGC, that is user-generated content contribution strategies, is to make sure that you can drive around with a camera and scan the world and have those edits be automatically applied to the map. That's a future that is not far from happening. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the product manager for user-generated Street View, Stafford Marquardt. Welcome, Stafford.
Thanks, Charles. I'm Stafford. I'm product manager for user-contributed Street View. That's Street View from users like you. So a few years ago, we added support for one-click cameras in the Street View app. And you might remember this little guy from our Street View video way back then. And we've come a little way since then. We've noticed an interesting trend since we launched support for these one-click cameras. People are trying to make Street View on the go by any means necessary. I try not to look too hard at this to figure out what side of the car they're supposed to be driving on, but you see the trend, right? And so we set out to make this sort of thing both easier and more accessible by professionals. We saw that people started filling out the map in places thousands of miles away from the nearest Street View car. Here, for example, is the capital city of Burundi. Look at all of this Street View that people have made just by putting tiny one-click cameras on the top of cars. And these images allow anyone in the world to see new places that maybe they never even knew about before. So we worked with our camera partners, like Ricoh, who you'll hear from next, to build a new mode in the Street View app that's specifically made to capture imagery on the go. With a new video mode, you just shoot a video while you're moving, and we do all the hard work of extracting frames and connecting them to make fully interactive Street View. Video mode in the Street View app is currently available since December to local guides and trusted photographers, and it works with the Ricoh Theta V. Video mode is also available in the Publish API. And other manufacturers like Insta360, NCTech, 360fly, and maybe others to come have already built publishing flows in their own apps that allow you to upload directly to Street View. Video mode is all made possible by the new Cam spec, which is our new standard for recording geodata inside of videos. So this means everything gets recorded in a single, easy-to-manage file, and then we do all the hard work of converting the videos into Street View. And we'll talk more about this technology in tomorrow's breakout session if you're interested in learning more. Since we launched video mode to beta users last December, we've already seen contributions from all around the world. And in this one interesting example from Japan, 2 users organized this project via Local Guides Connect to meet up on an island previously unmapped and add Street View for every single road. And they call this a blue line meetup because they're motivated by adding blue lines for every street on the island. We see similar things happening in other places too, like Curacao. Here's the downtown area of Curacao, where somebody's walked around with the Street View app and a Ricoh Theta V to map all the places that they care about. And even places totally off the beaten path, like this dirt street in rural Brazil, we see people using the Street View app to make their own Street View. So we're working with Ricoh to make Street View video mode even better. So this summer, when you use your Theta V with the Street View app, we'll increase the resolution to 5.4K and reduce the frame rate to 5 FPS. So this means that you'll be able to record higher quality with lower file sizes, making it easier than ever to create high-quality Street View experiences. We've also heard some of your feedback loud and clear on Local Guides Connect, and we've been working to improve the stability and accuracy of the recording experience in the Street View app. So with that, it's my pleasure to invite up Dr. Michael Usami, Senior Manager for Smart Vision at Ricoh. Welcome, Usami-san.
Thank you, Stafford. I'm Michael Usami, works for Ricoh, and came from Tokyo this time. So first of all, thank you very much, Charles, and other Google Street View team. So back into last year, I did the presentation. So and then in those days, I did only pre-announcement about new camera, one-click camera, so-called Theta. So this year, I'm quite honored to be here again. Thank you very much for the team. So let's start the content. So Ricoh started the Theta, one-click camera since 2013. It was a quite innovative product because it's quite affordable and very small form factors. as a consumer-graded device. That's a definitely innovation and easy of use, and it's always in a pocket. And then each year we introduced brand new model step by step. Oh, this year I brought a laser pointer. You remember that? Okay, yes. Like this. And finally, the 6 months ago, we introduced Theta V. It's a high performance model. And then, so we achieved a 4K video at 30 frames per second. And then recently introduced underwater housing. You can get into the water up to 30-meter depths. You could enjoy the swimming and snorkeling. So, and then also this camera achieved the open architecture, and I will explain it later. So it's important. So why Ricoh? Why Theta? So actually, Ricoh is very good at the optical technology and to make precision optics. So you can take a look at this picture. So since Theta is really small form factor, right? And due to this technology, incoming light is coming from the side A and side B, and then light is bended from the prism. It's a very precise technology. And then, so the reason why we can make the compact design, form factor, easy of use, and then moreover, so it makes lower parallax. And then, so lower parallax has benefits to take a picture even in very close object due to the lower parallax. So it's ideal inside a car or narrow place. So the this is our camera's structure. 2 fisheye lens plus 2 image sensors, right? And then some are high-end multi-eye spherical cameras. There are pros and cons, but we are focusing on this compact size design and affordable and easy of use and low parallax. Definitely, this type of camera has higher resolutions. Okay. So this is a new model, Theta V. So our engineer made a lot of effort to make this model because this achieved a 4K image. So this is very difficult to manage inside of bodies, heating management or GPU processor management, etc., etc. And then finally, our engineer team achieved this type of model as the same form factor as the previous model, Theta S. So the one of feature is the 4K live streaming at the 30 frames per second. To your surprise, this camera can do the real-time stitching inside the camera for 2 images at the 30 frames per second. And then you can do the live streaming to the YouTube directly. So, and also of course, you can do the 4K 30 frames per second recording. And then we added the video stabilizer. That's really important for the HMD type, experience. Otherwise, you're shaky, right? And then, so even the still images, it's very important, right? And then for you guys, and we upgraded image sensor and then better picture qualities. And then, so this Theta V is quite, the video or virtual reality, augmented reality centric model rather than, previous model. And then so we embedded spatial audio, meaning so you can capture 300-degree audio, rotation way, and then also elevation ways. That makes you the really, great presence experience at the head-mounted displays, or even like using the smartphones with earphones. And then also so by the way, where's theta? Oh, here. This is not microphone, okay? So so this is theta V, and then so theta this time, I want to enhance this one. This is open architecture we achieved based on the Android OS and using the Qualcomm Snapdragon chip. So, we have only camera device. We don't have any head-mount display or other devices. We are camera dedicated company. So that's why in order to connect with this device with other software and service such as Street Views. So this is open architecture. Even you can program inside of camera. Okay, this is a structure. So this is the obvious comparison at the 4K videos. So this is 2K previous model, and it's a 4K theta V model. It's a much sharper image quality, plus better color production is achieved. I think our engineer made a lot of effort, so that's why I'm really proud of our engineer team. They did really great jobs. So this is we call plug-in capability. It's a similar concept of to the Adobe Photoshop. You can add additional features, right? Time to time. So similar to that idea, so you can program any software, and since we provide SDK and API, we've already opened such developer site. So we provide Ricoh original plugins, and then also third-party people can develop the software inside of and program software, and then put into the theta V easily. And then so time to time, so you can get the value by these plugins. So this is an example of our open architecture and plugin capability. So for example, sometimes do you think do you need additional storage size? I think so. I want that. So at this time, so you can utilize a USB memory, for example, as a storage extension. We will already release this plugin capability, and also SD card, USB SD card writer, yada yada yada. Okay. So another idea is okay. I guess you need additional sensor or like a LiDAR to make depth informations. If that's the case, you can integrate such external devices. So since theta V embeds gyro, accelerometer, and e-compass, but you need more, I guess, like a GPS logger, altitude sensor, or gas sensor, whatever. So this type of hardware extension will be achieved by this plugin capability. So this is today Dr. Ryan. He talked about AI, right? So in conjunction with like Google Assistant, I guess you guys have a lot of Google Echo. Oh, Amazon Echo, sorry. Google Mini, yeah. I have Google Mini, yes, sorry. It's confusing, right? Sometimes, yes. If you say, okay, let's say, hey, Theta, wake up. And I could say, oh, hey, Theta, take a picture, my face as a handsome face, like that. Yeah, I wish I could do that. So, I think I'm really interested in such deep learning and such AI to be embedded in the edge device as well as cloud. The combination works, could be future. So, this is the Stafford explained new video mode. I'm definitely early adapter. Always, I try to do the experiment by myself. So this is data. Actually, this is amazing, very interesting. So by the way, how many people has a theta? Wow! Thank you very much. Okay, how many people has theta B? Oh, thank you very much. Next year should be everybody, okay? And then the beauty of this video mode is it's amazing. So as Stafford explained about that, so after recording the theta just around, and so there is two modes actually by theta is 1 frame per second for walking mode, and 5 frame per second for the bike cycling mode. So it optimizes bandwidth or storage size, and then so after recording and uploaded images, so Street View convert image video to still images, and then automatically each image is located around 30 feet each, automatically. And then automatically, number plate is blurred. You don't need to do, blurring by Photoshop, something. And also, the human face is blurred. And so that's why you don't need to capture and stop and go, stop and go. You don't need to do anymore. And then this is geographically precisely located for each location. So, and then also I can see my route. I walk around. So you could test it if you haven't tested it yet. So I guess, as far as I know, it's only one spherical camera to be supported by Street View application as of today. So it's only work for Android smartphone as of today. It's not my fault, It's please ask the Google people. So and also this mode is currently limited to Street View trusted photographer or local guide people, high-level people. Yeah. So what's next? So this is a possible use case. Of course, on the road, it's quite useful. However, so I think in the university campus or tourist spot, they need to take a picture, go around in a huge space. It's quite ideal use case, I think. So next example is in the tourist spot. So it's a very cute dog. Yeah, in Japan, it's named dog Akita. So Japan original dog. it's so cute, and then she got the theta B. Oh. I don't think she liked it, but actually, I tried to do that with my dog. My wife get pissed off. I was almost fired, so please be careful, everybody, okay? And then this is really a good example for the tourist spot and for the street view applications. Okay, this is the Stafford mentioned about the 5.4K mode. This is something new. Still in working progress, closely working with Google and our team. So I captured the prototype 5.4K video mode, and so I will magnify this rubber banded area to the next slide. So you can see the obvious difference. Oh, this is 5.4K. So you can see crispy image. This is 4K and a little blur image. So maybe this arrow is opposite. It should be like this, okay? Sorry. This is my fault. Actually, the pixel number is almost 2 times bigger in 5.4K. So that's why this type of crispier image is achieved. So actually, 4K is originally from TV standard for broadcasting. There's no meaning in such street view world. So why not we can optimize the resolution you need? So that's why we decided to upgrade the video quality to 5.4K sooner or later. Okay. Please expect this future upgrade. We don't charge anymore. Okay. So thank you very much again, and so we would contribute to provide a cutting edge product as ease of your device. Also, I think the future spherical camera could become the all environment capturing device, not only video, image, but also like audio or like even human data, such as my health or something, or altitude. So this type of 360-degree camera could be like edge device to gather all information. So and then this type of information could be going to cloud, and then deep learning to and feedback to the any kind of service. So we will focus on this type of data capturing device for AI era. So, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Usami-san. And Usami-san was very generous to say that this was his fault. This was my fault. I put the zero in the wrong place. But maybe we could sell it as a feature, because you don't have to blur faces and plates if you want to go backward to 4K. No, actually, the 5.4K is a great advancement. It's another testament to what Ricoh is continually able to accomplish. Year over year, we're sort of told we've pushed the limits. This form factor can't go any further. And yet, I'm learning to believe that you guys can do just about anything you set your sights to with this form factor, which you nailed on the first go-round. I typically attend the International VR Photographers Association. Each year they have a conference. And these pros are all card-carrying DSLR-based photographers that shoot 360 imagery. And the DSLR-based imagery is still arguably considered the gold standard in terms of quality. And these pros always carry their cameras with them. And yet, anytime there's like a fun event or an event where something wasn't exactly planned, there's 45 photographers out there with their Ricoh Thetas capturing the images. And there's something to be said for the accessibility and the just sort of ease of use of these products that is really as valuable as the more advanced and higher end cameras. If a camera is easy to use and it really just stands in for flat photography but provides more, then you really are making it more attainable to the masses. So thank you, Ricoh, for continuing that charge. Now, next up, we're going to hear from Michael Shaboon, who is Senior Marketing Manager at Insta360. Insta360 is one of those companies that's more on the other end, really advancing the state of the art for professionals with a very advanced camera called the Insta360 Pro, while at the same time participating in the consumer space with the Insta360 One. Like Ricoh, last year, Insta360 joined us at the Street View Summit in Tokyo to announce their intentions to participate in the Street View Ready program. It's my honor to point out that they have since debuted these products. They are up on the website that we cited earlier. And we're going to learn more about the Insta360 Pro today in particular as Michael takes the stage. So Michael, if you would, please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for welcoming me here on this stage. I'm very excited to be here, especially in front of a room full of the most innovative mapping minds in the world. This is a huge honor. I want to start off by basically saying that Insta360, we are on the forefront of some of the latest technologies, and we couldn't have done it without the incredible feedback we got from you guys. So please give yourselves a great round of applause, because we could not have done this without you. I don't know what's going on there. Thank you. So we're going to take a little bit of a different approach here. We know that you guys are all experienced users of 360 VR. And so we won't go into what you already know about the existing product lines and going into the features. We're going to get you guys some information about some new technologies that are coming out. We made some big announcements today and yesterday, and this is going to really drive the path, and it's the forefront of what we're going to be learning about and driving forward in our industry. So we're going to talk about new tools for intuitive 360 VR production. And what I'm going to talk about is the challenges that we're facing as an industry overall, and what solutions we've come up to combat each of these challenges. So this is a very blanket general statement. The three challenges of 360 VR are production, post-production, and distribution, right? So how can we get our technology to function like traditional cameras? And that goes into our mission statement. We're very excited that our ultimate goal with our professional cameras and our consumer cameras ultimately is to make 360 VR production as simple and efficient as traditional video production. And I think we're all in the same boat here, where, you know, over the past few years we've sensed that there have been some issues with our industry, and together we've been coming up with these solutions that are really driving and pioneering the whole industry in general. So the Insta360 Pro, this is the iconic Pro camera that I've seen many of you already in the audience with, and I have to borrow some thunder from our friends over at Ricoh, and I'm just curious, who here has a Pro, an Insta360 Pro, by show of hands? Okay, not too bad. And a One? Oh wow, we got some more Pro users here. Very good. Okay, great. Well, anybody else that's interested in learning more and finding out more information about our cameras, we're exhibiting tomorrow, so you guys can please come up and talk to us. But the Insta360 Pro, it's an integrated one camera solution, and that means that each of the lenses of this camera, and there's 6 of them, are functioning together to create advanced imagery. And you get the option of either stitching or on board the camera or afterwards in a post-production software. The other advantage is the onboard quick stitching and the convenient, portable, and lightweight body frame that I've seen a lot of you coming up with some innovative rigging systems, like Federico with the backpack. Very innovative. And the Insta360 Pro has already appeared in so many different modes that we've essentially lost track. And I'm showing you guys a few of the examples that are in our mainstream. This example right here is from the My Africa VR Nature documentary, and the results have been absolutely amazing. You can see that there's a huge dust storm going out in the middle of the hot desert, and this person is, you know, in absolutely no range of any electricity or power or any of our traditional means that we use for production. And he's doing an incredible job filming, all with this easy-to-use, portable, high-powered camera. And here's another example. This is from Time Magazine, their coverage of the total solar eclipse in 360. So you're seeing all of these incredibly innovative use cases of creators like yourselves going out. This is a VR for Good project. We're the official partner with Oculus with their VR for Good initiative, and we've partnered with 10 filmmakers around the world who are telling these highly empowering and motivating stories that simply could not be told without using VR and fully immersive. And here's another example of CNN VR, who just won an award for using our cameras after a lot of the disaster coverage that hit last year and before that. It was very traumatic, and our cameras were right there on the ground telling the stories of how people's lives were being saved and how our society came together. So without VR, that would have been impossible. And then, of course, this brings me to the Street View Ready partnership, which the reason why you guys are all here. You've seen over the last year how our product has evolved and where we've come from both a hardware and a software side. The really great thing about Insta360 is that we are a software company first, which means we're able to continually put out high quality updates that really make your product last and make it perform much better than traditional. What we're going to show you now is the first challenge, and we're going to talk about the production challenge. In traditional film production, creators have instant feedback, instant review, and the possibility to adapt a scene in real time. How do you bring these capabilities to 360? Where and by what design can creators have to remove themselves from that set? And this is the foundation of why the barrier to entry is a little bit more difficult right now, but we're going to show you how we're going to get through that. So far, we've used Wi-Fi, but the range is too short and the potential for interference is high, which brings me to my first announcement, the Insta360 Farsight. With the Insta360 Farsight, you're getting a high-powered, long-range video transmission system that you've only now just started seeing in traditional cameras and even drones like the DJI Lightbridge. So what features does it come with? The Insta360 Farsight has 1080p video transmission, up to 3 kilometers long-range wireless transmission, and it operates on a 5.8 gigahertz broadband, which has interference protection. This means that it uses ultra-low latency and it uses 32 channels to constantly switch back and forth, something we call dynamic switching. And we're very excited about this because you won't get interference in large crowds or public spaces where there's 2.4 and 5.8 gigahertz transmissions being used. This summer, we'll be rolling this out, and it's actually the first ever mass market video transmission system for the VR industry. This brings us one step closer to competing and being right alongside with traditional cameras, and this is very exciting for not just our company, but for the entire industry. Thank you. So, this brings me to our second challenge. Once you capture your content, then what? What do you do? How do you edit it just as easily as you would traditional content? Now, I always go back to the example of, I always find myself and my friends on vacation and I get so excited to shoot with my action camera, but then when I come back home, I don't do anything with it because even with traditional cameras, the workflow is a little bit of a nightmare. So what are we doing with this on the stitching side to get one step closer? Well, we are, once you've wrapped your shooting, as we mentioned, that's when the problems with 360 really begin. And there's two major problems with the stitching and the post-production workflows. It's a heavy time investment, which no one has, time wasting, which editing unnecessary footage that is required to be stitched as a whole that you're not going to use, and the learning curve. So how do I actually create a system for myself where I can do this smoothly and efficiently, constantly over and over without losing time? Now, stitching is still extremely time-consuming and processor-intensive, so the barrier to entry is also very high. Plus, you end up spending time stitching footage that never makes it into the final project, which I know we all grow frustrated about. And on top of that, post-production software options for 360 are all over the map, and creators are constantly having to learn new ones. So we're not making it, up until this point, very easy for you guys to adapt one system and work with it. So this brings me to my second announcement. This is something that we revealed at NAB, and that's getting rolled out quite soon. This is called No Stitch Editing. And this is a deep partnership that we've taken with Adobe, one of the leaders in post-production, as a way of getting not just you guys the tools that you need, but helping traditional filmmakers bridge the gap and come over to our side. The dark side for Charles, I guess. So what does this mean? We're taking a big step towards solving this challenge with our latest collaboration. And instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, we're integrating our expertise into the software that creators are already using, as you see with Adobe Premiere. We're very excited to announce that as of today, we're releasing the free beta for our Adobe Pro extension, which means that you can go online and download this and start using it. And as a fully integrated solution, it's going to simplify the post-production workflow and save a lot of time. We call our new solution, as I mentioned, No Stitch Editing, because it allows you to jump right into your editing task before ever spending a second on stitching. Now, how does this work? This is a comparison of both of our workflows. The old workflow, which I'm sure you guys are very familiar with and quite frustrated with, which has you take a couple of unnecessary steps. So you start with your traditional importing, you select your footage, you export the selected footage, and then you create your project in Premiere, and you essentially go into your main edit. So before you've even started editing your content, you've already done hours and hours and hours of unnecessary work. So this is the new workflow, which looks a little bit more condensed and more traditional. So what does this mean? This means that you can now import your files directly into Premiere without having to use our stitching tool. You can create a stitch proxy directly in Premiere without having to take the time to stitch unnecessary content beforehand. And the result is you actually get much faster edits out. So when you're done with your edit in Premiere, then you will actually stitch out a final resolution, full res version of whatever you're creating without the need for that unnecessary stitching that's going to cramp up your computer. And not everybody has 4 GPUs working simultaneously. Some people are working on laptops. Some are working on less powerful systems. And so we want to level the playing field for everyone. So this brings me to our next challenge and final solution. And Insta360 was, I'll give you a little bit of a history. We were one of the first to make, we were the first to make 8K VR easy with our Insta360 Pro. Now, you think of 8K and a lot of people say, well, I don't even have a 4K TV yet. What am I supposed to do with 8K? And the fact that Insta360 is already making it a simple workflow shows that we're really looking at what the future holds for high quality and resolution in our industry. And with our upcoming products, we'll continue to push the boundaries of image quality and resolution. The problem, as I mentioned, is that our phones and computers aren't keeping up with the rate of the development on the capture side. We're capturing amazing content that we then just can't share, right? And that's why we're going to be focusing on making sure that our users can share what they capture effectively without losing any time. In the coming months, we'll be releasing an all-new playback technology, announcement number 3, that lets you watch super high resolution video on smartphone and headsets. So you'll be able to put your 8K, your true 8K footage into your headsets, into your smartphones, into your other devices. And it's really bridging the gap between what we're capturing and how we're showing it. Now, The way we're going to be doing this is releasing a player, but the functionality is not just about the player. It's about the playback and the streaming technology that can be implemented in different places. As our friends at Ricoh mentioned with the third-party app inclusions, we're very open to having ecosystem partners drive this technology forward and sharing it with other parties. The technology is compatible with iOS, Android, Oculus Go, and Gear VR, and then we'll be rolling out more in the coming months after. And we're going to integrate to our own Insta360 player, which you can try at our booth tomorrow, but the full version will be available sometime this summer, and we'll be making another announcement soon. We're also going to release, as I briefly talked about, an SDK for this tech, which will enhance the overall playback and the software integration that you guys experience. Everybody has a different use case, and we want you guys to pursue that without a lot of barriers. And we're also working on streaming technology, which will make this tech not only happen on local playback, but in video demand and live streaming. So this is the standard comparison between our 4K 3D and our 8K 3D. Generally, on this small slide, you can see that you don't see a lot of differences, but when I blow it up, and we're looking at the building right now. The clouds, this is obviously captured at different times of the day, so the clouds are different. But when you look at the building on the 8K, you see all of the small details. You see the shine in the glass. You see the little imperfections, whereas on the 4K, it's a little bit more blurry. So on the post-production side, when a viewer watches this content, we dynamically render that part they're looking at full quality, allowing us to achieve playback at 8K, even on devices with lower resolutions. So we're just taking that portion that you care about and we're rendering that out. Now, we're calling this technology Crystal View Playback. The tech will work, as I mentioned, with Android, iOS, and Oculus Go, and it can be implemented for both local playback and on-demand video and live streaming. And you'll be able to play any kind of smooth 8K on your players with this. We're very excited to deliver it to all of you guys. With these 3 new technologies, we're going to be bringing VR production a lot closer to the ease and efficiency of traditional video production. And we urge all of you to come talk to us tomorrow at our booth to learn more about how this is going to work for your particular use case. And we also encourage you to continue providing us with your excellent user feedback. Because again, without what you guys are experiencing in the field, we can't make the changes quick enough. So please continue to do what you're doing and empower us as a company to give you the proper tools. Thank you again very much, and I look forward to chatting with you all after this, this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I love what you guys stand for. It's an intersection of attention to quality and still accessibility. So the integration with Premiere Pro, the 8K playback, these are great. And they show that as we continue to ramp up our canvassing of Street View imagery at global scale, we don't have to give up on quality to realize that. Another company that shares your vision is NCTech. They are a staple of our conferences. This is, I believe, the 3rd year that they've participated with us. I want to point something out before Neil Toker, one of the co-founders of NCTech, takes the stage. The urban canyon example that I cited half an hour ago and the visual observations that were automatically identified using machine learning that I cited after that, those all came from the camera that you guys are about to learn more about. So I am genuinely very excited to welcome up Neil Toker to the stage.
Hi, everyone. You hearing me okay? Is mic okay? Genuinely excited to be here for the 3rd time. It's a great, accolade for Google to have us here again. And we've been working hard on a brand new product, which we're going to reveal today for the very first time, unless you've been on our website and had a sneak peek. But literally, this is the first time we've announced it, and we wanted to do that here today with Google, and we've worked hard on it for the last 2 years almost, in collaboration with Intel and Sony also. So let me just show you a quick sting as to what the product looks like. It's the new iStar Pulsar. It's here, the pulsar. So there's a lot to cover on this camera. I don't have enough time today to talk about it all, but I'm going to try my best to just cover a few key features. So I'm going to just run quickly through what I think you guys will be interested in most. So this is the first certified dynamic geospatial capture camera in the system. It understands, it's got an IMU and GPS, very accurate systems built into the hardware. It's designed for mobile use and vehicles, backpack, and so on. But what it can do is it's looking at the speed that you're traveling, and it's basing its capture rate based on your geo position. So that allows, it's only capturing information based on the meter distance that you're interested in. So if you're after 4 meter spacing, it'll only capture that frame every 4 meters. So this removes unwanted duplicate data, especially if you're in a vehicle, you're sitting at traffic lights, it's just capturing, capturing, capturing. Not with this product. It'll stop capture, and as you accelerate, the frame rate will steadily increase. The vehicle can travel all the way up to 70 miles an hour, and you'll get a fairly good capture up at those speeds. It's got advanced stabilization, so if you're using it on a boat, if you're doing some kind of buoyancy work, we've got the stabilization built in there also for pitch and roll. So it has amazing resolution and clarity, almost twice the resolution of 8K cameras on the market today. So that's double the pixel density almost as 8K. And with this higher resolution built into the hardware design, we've reduced the compression artifacts when we upload, so we can pull out some amazing detail, which Charles has touched on, for the machine learning algorithms that we run on top of that data set. So we take great pride in your security of what you're capturing also. So I think this is the first camera where we provide end-to-end encryption. From the point of capture, everything on that device is totally secure. If that camera is lost or stolen, that information is not coming off that camera unless you upload it, and you've got the correct key there, which you will have being the owner of that device, and then the information is unlocked to you. Our advanced depth stitching allows you to capture at high speeds, as I mentioned, and we don't have double data errors suffered by other stitching methods. This is our own IP from end to end in the cloud, so our stitching is based on analyzing the scene. It's calculating depth in every frame of the scene, and it's working out a stitch, the best stitch for that scene. So as an object comes close, it'll be a different stitch from when that object passes. It's not a template solution, and it's not optical flow. So here's an example of a motorway. This is actually a low-res image that we've pulled off here. We've just blown it up. This is on Street View today. This is a vehicle, the vehicle that the camera's on, plus the vehicle over the other side of the motorway in the UK, where the speed limit there is 70 miles per hour. So there's a combined relative speed here of around about 100 miles per hour. And we can pull out the detail, and there's actually more detail than what's seen here. So to power a camera that has that resolution, that amount of information being captured, we need to give you a really intuitive user interface to do that. And so we spent a lot of time and effort developing a really useful app to control the product. It's not a remote control for the camera. This is a tool to plan your day. This is a tool that you can create your own routes. You can be sent routes from NCTech. There might be jobs that we need that we think you might be interested in. We can push routes out for you. You'll get turn-by-turn voice navigation, and it'll show you your route and breadcrumb trail, and when you go off the route, the camera will stop capturing. When you come back on the route, everything goes green, you're back on, it'll keep capturing. So that's the first time I think we've had a system that's fully autonomous, ease of use, press go, and forget about it. So I've touched on the routes that you can create. You can also load up your partial routes, and obviously you get a lot of live information regarding the camera, how much disk space it has left, the routes you've captured, and so on. And all these routes are pushed directly to our VR World platform, where we've built a cloud infrastructure behind this product. So whether you're pushing to Street View, or this information's to be private, it may be of a university or an oil rig or something sensitive, our platform is there that you can have that hosted privately and securely and encrypted. You do not need a computer at all with this camera. Everything is edge to cloud. There's no processing in any third-party software. When you press capture, at the end of the day, you take the product home. You don't want to leave it on your vehicle, it gets stolen. You take it home, it'll connect to your Wi-Fi, and it'll push the data up slowly, probably over the evening, depending on how much data you've collected. So no computer required, no software required, just the app, and you're up and running. So how much data? Well, this camera, because it's almost twice the resolution of 8K, it can capture up to 3 terabytes of data every hour. So one camera, the storage space on board is enough to capture up to 4.5 hours of data. So that's a 4.5-hour route in a day, for example, you could capture. We do have external disk options, which we will bring to market very soon to increase the capture time. And it's powered, it's a hard power cable to the camera. We're not running, it doesn't have its own internal battery. We provide external batteries, and we provide cabling to route it through your car or your vehicles. So when you capture this huge amount of information, it's not feasible to process it on your laptop or a really nice computer in your office. It's just not going to happen. I've tried it. It doesn't work. We did it a few years ago. We were working with Top Gear. We did BBC, doing a capture across the Rubicon Trail. It wasn't that much information. It was about 6,000 images over a 3-day period. We processed that all locally on a laptop, and it took about 48 hours just to do all the stitching and the blending and so on. It was a nightmare. With this camera, with the resolution and the ease of use, we can scale a simple 1-hour recording that you do. We can quickly scale up to 96,000 CPU cores on our cloud to just rip through that data for you. So giving you that information as quickly as possible, live straight, well, not live, but it'll come back to you in your device on your app to say it's done. So it's a complete solution end to end, and we're bringing out some accessories. So we've thought about security, so we've created a quick release secure locking mount, so you can mount it to roof bars or an A-frame that we will be bringing out soon. Additional batteries, cable routing systems, and so on. So we just want to give you everything that you need to get out there and start. So without further ado, let's have a look at it in action. Thank you. So just a little bit more about the processing pipeline. We've called it VR World. where you capture, process, and share. It's a fully cloud-based system. It's all through the app. The product will support the OSC. So again, I think Google will have an option there that you can work the product through Google's own apps. So process your own data. And in addition to that, we're opening up this platform to developers through our APIs and allow you to layer on your own advanced services into the data set that we're going to make available to everyone. All this data that's coming into us that's private, the users will decide if they want to make this shareable, and then we can layer on third-party services for a multitude of different services, including machine learning and artificial intelligence. And this is where we come on to the things that we can do with that data, which we've all touched on with the previous presentations in quite good detail. But again, just pulling out information from this imagery, because of its resolution and clarity from street furniture, vehicles, road types, this is information that we will give you, the user. You can interrogate your own imagery, build your own geo-positioned data sets, and we'll give you all that information. It's part of the VR World platform, and that's something that's subscription-based, based on the amount of data you're pushing through it and the services you want from it. But that system can be the backbone to services that you offer out, and you can be pulling that information from us anonymously. The user doesn't know what's going on, but you're pulling all that data into your own systems. So that's the future for VR World. The way we're using that ourselves is for things like smart cities, where we're pulling out and building a geo-positioned data set that empowers projects such as smart cities. We're working with governments to improve city living and with real-world data. So we're combining our imagery with atmospheric sensors, air pollution, heat, humidity, this type of sensor, and we can build up an ongoing view of our world and providing useful analytics and the opportunity to present it all in some kind of augmented street view style way in VR. So iStar Pulsar is brand new, just announced today. How much and when? I've been here before with the product. So that's what it looks like. You'll see the product tomorrow at the when you come and see us at our booths and so on. So the camera, how much? It is $3,995. The processing costs are variable based on the amount of data you have, and obviously they're not very big. The costs are quite low. You can check our website. You'll see all the pricing information there. But when is it available? You can pre-order now. We start shipping in 2 weeks. But this is Street View. We're here. You guys invited us over, and you guys are our main demographic that we're really interested in working with. So for everyone here, and for everyone who's using this for Street View, the product is going to be $2,995. So, and that's forever, $2,995. Our mission statement, through VR World and products like this, we're making creation of access to virtual worlds possible for everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have two thoughts after watching that. One is I love learning new terms, and I just discovered that I'm street furniture, so thank you for that.
My wife calls me furniture.
Okay.
So get used to
I'm glad I have value now. And then the second is, and this is something I was commenting on when I was sitting with Ray discussing this morning, is it doesn't take 10,000 inspired people to shift an industry and start looking out at an exponential trajectory for what the next 10 years holds. 100 really inspired people can really influence a broader groundswell. And so we're actually all very privileged to have these bright minds in our midst that are really helping advance the state of the art, and they're not being confined by what they expect little increments in technology capabilities to be. They're thinking very, very broadly, really at like a science fiction level. So thank you all of the presenters here today so far. Now, I have to admit, I'm hungry, I'm sure you're hungry, and I hate to stick my colleague here between you and lunch. We do have 10 to 12 minutes left on a really valuable presentation I think you'll enjoy. We're going to hear from the head of the technical program manager for Street View's own fleet, or Google's own fleet of Street View vehicles. Please join me in welcoming Steve Silverman up to the stage. Thank you.
Thanks. Which is the forward button?
Big green one.
All right, thank you. Thanks for being here. And I just want to start off by extending the theme of what we've been talking about. I've had the honor and privilege of working on Street View for nearly a decade. And I want to show you what we've been doing to enable you to have a canvas to put all of this hard work onto and to share it with the world. You're here, we're here, we're expanding the immersive Street View experience, and I really want to say thank you. The world is such a big place. There's room for a lot of players, and having a user community to go out and fill in and keep things fresh is critical to what we're doing. So again, I want to say thank you to that for making this reality a little more immersive. So we are still, as Google, we're still committed to building this base map, to creating a canvas, a background that can help us navigate in this beautiful planet. So with that, this is the part of the world that we've covered with Street View. And it's pretty amazing, and it's also amazing in the parts we haven't covered. So again, what we need to do here is we need your help. We want to keep this fresh. So we can do a certain amount of creating the background, but then how do we keep it updated? How do we keep it fresh? And that's where all of you come in. Here's a video of the history of Street View. 2007, we took an off-the-shelf camera, and it was 5 megapixels, 6 lenses, and we started mapping in the US. And we said, holy crap, that looks pretty good. Maybe not quite those words. After we launched those 5 countries, we then developed our own system, about 45 megapixels, 9 lenses, and we expanded to 31 countries. You can see it here on a BlackBerry, but then the R7 system was developed, 75 megapixels, and this is where we really expanded out to covering most of the populated areas on the planet. We got up to about 86 countries. We made this experience available now, laptops and mobile platforms were starting to show up. 10 years of this, and it is now time to keep innovating. So we've now updated our system with the newer Street View car. And here you'll see our 10 years of cars driving out here in the South Bay. The new cars are wrapped in this beautiful imagery because really what we're about is sharing the beauty of this world. Yet there's this amazing technology sitting on top of the car. We're enabling a mobile experience. We're letting people know that we're still mapping and sharing your world. These new systems are 140 megapixels. I just calculated that's 33K. So we're in over 80 countries. We've added some features to this device, but again, this is a canvas creator, and to fill in that canvas, we still need all of your help. So it's pretty fun. Now you'll see the newest Street View cars. There will be one out here at 3 o'clock today, so please come by, take a look, and happy to share some of this information with you. There's some key elements that we've added. This is a mapping platform. Instead of just geolocating panos and you move 10 meters and get another pano, we're actually creating, we're calculating geometry of the world around us. So we have our 360 camera on top. The IMU is embedded into it. We've added laser radars boxes onto these. We've had those on our cars for many years, but now we're using these things to help with identify facades and geometry around the world around us. We can put these on multiple vehicles in multiple countries, and so this white frame is really our structure and transport mechanism. And then we've simplified, radically simplified the user interface. So the driver literally goes in, turns on a big red switch, hits a button, puts in their PIN, and they start to drive. And I want to let you know, for those of you that build camera systems, you just heard from some amazing technologists here. It is hard to build these things. And I thought I might share something with you. In my past life, I worked on some systems that have gone off the planet. It's pretty interesting that as humans, we're able to actually send cars to another planet and have them work. So if you compare what we're trying to do, equatorial Mars gets down to -55°C and +20°C. On the Earth, we go -81°C to +47°C. Our planet has a really wide range of thermal environments. So we know you have to survive in those situations. There's dust and light, dust and wind on Mars, but there's water on Earth. Water corrodes everything. Sending something to Mars, it has to survive shaking. Excuse me. Here, you drop your camera, it's 100 Gs. Yeah, thanks. 100,000 Gs when you drop your camera from about this far. So I've dropped my Theta V, it still works. Thank you for that. We designed this thing to work for 6 months on Mars. It lasted for 10 years. That was a nice advantage. But these things that are down here still have to survive 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years. And that's another amazing thing. If you think of these devices, what's going on in them to have them survive. That thing is run by a very small group of specialists. It's amazing you can pick up an NCTech camera or a Theta V or an Insta360 and push a button and go. That's spectacular and extremely hard to make happen. So thanks for that. So with that, I just want to say again, thank you for allowing this amazing work that we've done with this team at Google to now allow users to come in and contribute and participate and keep our world fresh and share this amazing planet with the rest of us.
It's pretty humbling to work with people like Steven, so thanks, Steve. No more holding you back. We're going to take a break for lunch. I'm sorry to ask this of you. We're going to target 45 minutes for lunch to make sure that we can try to keep close to schedule by the end of the day. So please help yourselves to food, and we'll see you back here in 45 minutes.